Hello, this is Logan, and this is how to make bread. Ingredients are 1½ cup of warm water, 1/2 tablespoon of salt, 3/4 tablespoon of active dry yeast, and 3 cups of flour. The first step is to add the warm water into a large bowl, followed by the salt, and then mix. The warm water will help the yeast ferment faster and will allow the yeast to thrive. Sprinkle 3/4 tablespoons of yeast over the top and let it sit for 1 to 2 minutes. Later, the yeast will go through fermentation, a process where the pyruvate produced from glycolysis turns into ethanol and carbon dioxide. After letting it sit, then stir. After the yeast has been thoroughly stirred, add 3 cups of flour into the bowl. With a spatula, stir the mixture until it all comes together and is well blended. The dough will rise when set down for a period of time because of the carbon dioxide that is being produced from the yeast when they go through fermentation. Cover the dough with plastic wrap or lid and let it rise in room temperature for 2 hours. It will rise about 2 to 3 times in volume. Put flour onto a piece of parchment paper and scrape the dough out of the bowl with the spatula onto the surface. For the next step, make sure your hands have lots of flour on them. First, fold the dough in half. And then fold it in half again. Sprinkle the dough with lots of flour. Then lift the dough into a ball in your hands and sprinkle the parchment paper with 2 tablespoons of cornmeal. Place the dough on the floured parchment paper seam side down and put more flour on top of it. Then let the dough rise on the counter for 40 minutes. 10 minutes before the dough has finished rising, preheat the oven and the cooking sheet to 450 degrees Fahrenheit. Put more flour on top of the dough and cut 3 strips across the top with a very sharp knife. Set up 2 shelves in the oven, and on the bottom rack, place a metal baking dish with 1 cup of hot water. Slide the dough with the parchment paper onto a hot cookie sheet that has been preheated to 450 degrees. Put that sheet on the top rack and bake at 450 degrees for 20 to 25 minutes or until it turns golden brown. After baking, place the bread on the counter and wait till it turns to room temperature to start eating. During baking, the ethanol produced from fermentation is evaporated. If fermentation was not allowed to occur, the bread would have been much more dense and would not have expanded. This is because the CO2 would not be produced by the yeast during fermentation, which causes the bread to rise. Thank you for watching.